Oh, yes.
Are we ready?
We're ready.
All good? Okay. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for all who are attending the meeting today, and want to thank you for all being here. We're having some technical difficulty with our online, but they should be able to hear us, and welcome to the July 13th Board of Commissioners meeting. Can you rise and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag for the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Jen, can you call the roll, please?
Mayor Harker.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Gilligan.
Here.
Commissioner Spiegler. Commissioner Matthews.
Here.
Commissioner Lopiccolo.
Here.
Commissioner Cooper.
Here.
Okay. Now, Commissioner Spiegler will not be joining us today, and can I get a motion to excuse her from the meeting?
So moved.
Got a motion on the floor. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Now, before we move on to approving tonight's agenda, I would like to make one change to the agenda. I'm requesting that the closed session that's scheduled for tonight be moved from this evening's agenda and moved to the July 27th work session. And can I get a motion to approve the agenda as amended?
So moved.
Got a motion on the floor. Any further questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Now we're going to move on to the items of consent. We've got 4 items that are here. The first one is the meeting minutes from the June 8th and the 22nd meeting. The other one is the SUP order for case number 26-14. That's your special use permit for 217 Turner Street. This is just a simple approval of that permit. We've got a personnel policy amendment, article number 5, section 14, technology and social media policy. And then we have the adoption of the town's FY27 priority matrix. And then a resolution requesting review and reduction of the speed limit on the state-maintained portion of Front Street. Unless there's any further questions about these items on the consent, can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Got a motion on the floor. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, all opposed have the same right. Nope, excuse me, I've missed one item on the consent agenda. Let me back up. It's the resolution to approve the 2025 local water supply plan. They're supposed to help me correct these and catch these. All
I
right,
move we approve the items of consent with the addition of number 6.
thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Now, before we move on to our quasi-judicial proceeding, I'm going to allow for Kyle to introduce a special guest tonight with us. And I won't spoil it. I'll let you go ahead and share the good news with the town.
Thank you, Mayor. It is my pleasure this evening to introduce the latest addition to the Town of Beaufort staff in the Planning and Inspections Department. We have with us this evening the new senior planner, Mr. Charlie Rachi, who has come over from Pine Knoll Shores. Charlie has several years of experience working in Carteret County, working with several different agencies and groups of engineers, surveyors, and citizens alike. Charlie has a vast background, even the short time that he's been at Pine Knoll Shores, and we are extremely happy to have him join our staff this evening. And I've asked that he have just some words for you, if that's okay, Mayor.
Yes, sir.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Thank you, Charlie.
Welcome, Charlie.
Thank you, Mayor Harker, members of the Board of Commissioners. Just wanted to share my appreciation for this opportunity, especially thankful to Matt and Elizabeth, who have been very thoughtful in providing this position for me, allowing me to work under Kyle for a couple of months. I'll be spending the next 6 weeks trying to get 18 years of information from Kyle and his time in the town of Beaufort. But yeah, I come to the town with 6 years of municipal government experience, as well as a Master's of Public Administration from the University of North Carolina. And I grew up in Carteret County, and this area is very special to me. So just thank you for this opportunity, and I look forward to working with you.
Okay. Welcome. Welcome aboard.
Welcome.
Now, we've got 2 quasi-judicial proceedings ahead of us. The first one is case number 26-18. That's a special use permit amended to remove a condition from 1527 Front Street accessory dwelling unit special use permit. With that being said, can I get a motion to open the floor for the evidentiary hearing?
So moved.
Got a motion on the floor. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Now, quasi-judicial hearings by nature are a evidentiary hearing, which means that it is conducted similar to a court proceeding. State law establishes specific procedures and standards that the Board of Commissioners must follow in making its decision. The board must base its decision upon competent, material, and substantial evidence presented during this hearing. A quasi-judicial decision is constrained by the standards contained in the town's land development ordinance and must be based on facts presented in the record. All applications for special use permit must comply with the land development ordinance for the town of Beaufort and whether the special use is appropriate in the proposed location. If you are speaking tonight, please focus your comments on facts, evidence, and the ordinance standards rather than personal preference or opinion. The Board of Commissioners shall hear relevant information from parties with standing as set forth in the North Carolina General Statute 160D-406, 160D-1402. Individuals who are not parties with standing may still be permitted to provide competent, material, and substantial evidence at the discretion of the board, provided the information is relative and not repetitive. Parties may appear in person through an attorney or through an authorized representative. Parties may present evidence, call witnesses, ask questions permitted under the procedure, and make legal arguments. The Board of Commissioners, acting through the mayor, may subpoena witnesses and compel the production of evidence. For certain topics, the board may hear expert opinion testimony. Individuals providing expert testimony must establish their qualification and explain their factual basis for their opinion. And witnesses providing testimony must swear or affirm their testimony before speaking. Now, at this time, I would like to welcome all the individuals that are going to participate in this case. That would be the town, the applicant, and their representative to be sworn or to, yes, sir. Is anybody from the applicant side going to be here? Okay.
Do you swear or affirm that the evidence you shall give to the board in this action shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Thank you very much. And at this time, I will open the floor to any additional witnesses that will not be called by the staff or the applicant. Seeing that there's none, this is also time to call any parties with standing that wish to be qualified as a party with standing. Please come up now. Okay. Now we're going to be moving on. I would like to ask the Board of Commissioners if they have had any ex parte communications about this case or any conflict of interest or any bias or other reasons that would prevent them to have a fair and impartial consideration of this matter. Seeing that there is none, I would like to turn this over to staff whenever you're ready to present this into the evidence.
Thank you, Mayor. Can you folks see your screen from the other
See
side?
the one
Okay,
screen,
thank
yes,
you.
ma'am.
So as the mayor stated, this is case number 26-18, and this is a request to amend the existing special use permit to remove a condition from 1527 Front Street accessory dwelling units. What we'd like to ask at this time is that the staff report and all the exhibits that were included in the agenda packet be as part of the record, as well as the PowerPoint that we will be presenting this evening in regards to this case.
So accepted.
Thank you, Mayor. So the first slide that we have for you is a vicinity map showing where the property is located along Front Street. It is currently in a zoning district that is RS5, which allows for single-family dwelling units on 5,000 square foot lots with an impervious surface requirement. This is consistent with our CAMA land use plan in regards to the accessory dwelling use. And we have up on the screen for you this evening an actual survey showing where the existing ADUs are located on the property. It should be pointed out that this property received its special use several years ago, but the condition that was placed on it was that only the ADUs would only be allowed to be used for family members. So after some changes in some things and some enforcement that was brought to our attention, the town's attention, we reached out to the owners, who then decided, it might be a good idea to come back and see what the possibility could be of amending that original special use permit. So that is really the reason we are here this evening. And included in your packet is we have the excerpts from the meeting where the original special use permit was granted. The reason we certainly wanted to include this in the packet was for historic purposes, but we are also fortunate that our mayor was an acting member of that meeting, so she has recollection of it as well. Again, looking at the former CAMA land use, ADUs, or accessory dwelling units, were not a portion of that. They are included in the new one. So there was not a lot of information or guidance in regarding what to do with accessory dwelling units until our most recent CAMA land use plan. But with that, going back to what I said previously, the applicant decided that they would like to come back and reapply actually for a revision to their condition of their special use permit. So the planning board at their June 15th meeting unanimously moved that they approve the application as submitted, that they not approve the application as submitted, but instead that a condition that the smaller accessory dwelling unit only be used for family use, and that the larger one could be used as rented or Airbnb and so forth. And it's important to point out that that is a condition that was agreed to at the planning board meeting, as any changes to conditions to special use permits have to be agreed upon by the applicant or the property owner. So with that, the planning board moved this recommendation to this board this evening. This has been advertised in the newspaper, and adjacent property owners have been notified of this hearing this evening, as well as a sign was posted on the property identifying the date and time of this hearing this evening, Mayor. At this time, I will be glad to entertain questions of the board regarding this case number 26-18 for the special use permit.
Thank you, Kyle, for that overview. Do we have any questions for Kyle? Commissioner Cooper?
Yeah, I had problems earlier today trying to review this and to look at it even now. So I'm not sure, what was the original request on the application?
For this evening or for previous? When it was originally approved?
That they presented to the planning board.
Okay, originally what they were requesting is that there are currently 2 accessory dwelling units on the property. And they wanted, that removed the condition that only family members could be there, and that both of the units could be rented out as Airbnb. Through some discussions with the planning board, the applicant changed their request that only one of the units be allowed to be rented out as an Airbnb or to other family members, and that the smaller unit would be retained as just for family.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any further questions for Kyle?
Kyle, does having 3 units on this make this more of a non-conforming use now? I mean, is that typical for ADUs now to be issued to have 2 or 3 separate ADUs allowed, or does our LDO basically allow really for one ADU in the back when applicants, you apply for that?
I was expecting this question this evening, so I would say that this is somewhat unique. We believe that there are at least a couple other locations in town that have more than one accessory dwelling units. And what makes this even more unique is that there is a special use permit that a Board of Commissioners has granted for having these two uses there. So they have permission for the two units.
Okay. And does asking for this change, does that trigger anything as far as lot coverage, as impervious surface and so forth? Because I'm just looking at the property, it looks like it doesn't comply.
Well, actually, it's close, but it does barely comply, we believe. Now, an updated survey or updated as-built has not been provided to us, but by the calculations that we have, it's close, but it does appear to meet, especially with the amount of front yard that they have, that is still pervious.
And now, just to be clear, the front unit will still be allowed, even though it's for family use, will still be allowed to be rented, correct? Or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. And that is something that the applicant can speak to. They've said that it would be just for their family use, but that is something that the applicant can specifically speak to when they're up here.
Okay. And did something trigger this change, or there was a specific trigger for this application?
Oh, yes, sir. We received some notification from some of the neighbors that they believe that the original special use permit was not in code compliance and that the units in the rear were being used as Airbnbs. And after doing some research, our code officer, Mr. Brad Fockler, found that it was listed on Zillow and some other sites. And so at that, we began our code enforcement proceedings, and that is how we got here this evening. And our ultimate goal is always compliance.
So to be clear, the home will be used by the family, but still be able to be rented. The back unit will only be able to be used by the family, not be rented, but the ADU, the larger one, will be able to be rented. So there'll still be two units rented.
So the applicant can speak to the front, but the request this evening was just for the conditions that were placed on the rear two units, in that the smaller unit would still be used for family and that the larger unit could be used and rented out as an Airbnb or other things.
Okay.
That is my understanding, and it's always great when your legal counsel was at the planning board with us to make sure that I'm speaking, okay, and I'm getting a head nod, so that's a good sign for me.
Okay. Thank you, Kyle.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Good evening, Kyle. With the other properties that have two ADUs on them elsewhere in town, are those, am I allowed to ask about other properties, Aries? Or, are those other properties, do they also have conditions that it's family only?
No, ma'am, they do not.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Any further questions for Kyle?
One last question, Kyle. Is there any specific parking conditions that the town requires for ADUs or for harmony within the, with the adjacent property owners and so forth?
Parking is based on number of bedrooms and so forth, and yes, sir, and that was something that was covered very, very well with the planning board. They wanted to make sure that there was access and parking, enough parking for those units.
And you feel that there's adequate parking?
The planning board's recommendation to the board was that they believed that there was, yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
All righty. Unless there's any further questions for Kyle, I'm going to give the applicant an opportunity to stand up and answer any questions. Any further questions for Kyle? Thank you, Kyle. I appreciate that.
Yes, ma'am, thank you.
All right. And sir, I'm going to give you the opportunity to come up to the mic for us. Now, you may have given Jen your name, but I didn't hear it. I want to make sure that I'm reading it correctly, and I've got...
Thank you. My name is Delbert Hike.
Hike. Okay, so that's...
Yep.
Okay. All right, Mr.
And probably just to address one quick thing for you, we've agreed that that front building, the larger one, will not be rented out. And that can be a part of an amended special use permit, so that the only building that would be leased, or, well, not leased, but Airbnb would be the back one building, and that's it.
So the larger one is going to just remain for family use only?
The front one, yes, sir. Front one is basically family-owned, and that's it.
Does anyone reside in that unit now, or it's vacant?
No, it's just occasionally. It's like a vacation home.
I just want to make sure I understood what you just said. Did I understand you correctly to say you were comfortable with the condition that the primary unit only be used for family?
That is
with
correct.
the approval of the larger accessory dwelling unit being allowed to be rented out?
Yes, sir.
Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Gilligan?
I am a little bit confused by that because there's a statement that has been entered into the evidence through the agenda packet that says, if this change is approved, we would consider as a part of a special use permit that the front home be considered a resident with restrictions for rental purposes. Is that paraphrasing what you just said? Because that
Basically,
statement
yes.
to me is a little-
We won't be renting that one out. That is correct.
Okay, thanks for the clarification. That was a little bit gray to me.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah. And again, I mean, if it becomes an amendment to the special use permit or whatever, we have no problem with that. Everybody agreed at the planning board meeting that only one building, that would be it, the back one. And then we have plenty of parking back there for anybody that stays there.
Thank you.
So we have your assurance that that front house will remain for family use only, seeing that, I guess your neighbors turned you in?
I'm not real sure if the neighbors did, but I mean, we've had a great relationship with our neighbors.
Well, somebody notified the town.
Somebody does, yes. I have no idea. But, yeah, again, it's only the front building.
If that's, I'm going to come again, if that's an agreed condition, it would be a condition in the approval, and you're saying you would accept that, so it's not a matter of taking his word one way or the other. He has said he's fine with the condition.
Yes. Yeah.
That's correct, and the order is issued. That condition would set out exactly what is rental and what is non-rental, consistent with Kyle's presentation.
Pretty straightforward.
Presentation.
Okay. Any further questions for the applicant? All right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Now I'm going to give the board an opportunity to deliberate over this case. We'll have to look at the required findings of facts as well. You'll get to vote on those 7 items and then decide whether to approve or not approve the special use permit. Now, this one has conditions on it, so we want to make sure that we make clear what those conditions are. Okay.
Can you place the findings of fact on the screen, please?
I think he had it earlier, I'm not quite sure.
What are you asking?
He wants us to
The
list the
findings are-
finding of facts. And that's going to be on 78 and 79. There you go. It starts on 78 and then goes on to 79. And can you see that tiny writing?
better than mine.
Well, you have 7 findings of facts. A is the proposed use is allowable special use in the zoning district in which it is being located. And B, the application is complete. C, the location and character of the use will be in conformity with the town lands use plan and other comprehensive plan elements. And D, streets, driveways, parking lots, traffic control, and other traffic circulation features shall be designed and provided in accordance with the current traffic engineering standards and town regulations and found adequate for the proposed special use. E, the proposed special use will not substantially injure the value of the adjoining or abutting properties. F, the proposed special use will be compatible and in harmony with the adjoining land use and the development patterns of the immediate area. And last is G, the proposed use will not materially endanger the public health or safety of the community if located where proposed and developed according to the submitted and approved plans. Those are your 7 findings of facts.
I would make a motion that we not approve the application as submitted, but instead approve the application with conditions that the applicant has met the finding of facts A through G, and that the main dwelling and the smaller accessory dwelling unit in the back be reserved only for family use, and the larger accessory dwelling unit in the back may be rented out to people other than family.
Okay. So we've got a motion on the floor for the finding of facts with conditions. Any questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. And all opposed have the same right. Now we need to move on to this, the special use permit itself, right?
I think the
That should
motion
cover that?
also covered the permit itself, the conclusions, if you will. So I think that's sufficient, Mayor, particularly in this situation.
In this situation? Okay. All right. Now that we've got that, I just need to have a motion to close this evidentiary hearing.
So moved.
We've got a motion on the floor. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Now we're going to move on to our next case. This is case number 26-12. It's a special use permit for 1507 Live Oak Street Gas Station. And can I get a motion to open the floor for evidentiary hearing?
So moved.
Got a motion on the floor. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Now, this hearing is a quasi-judicial evidentiary hearing, which means it is conducted similar to a court proceeding. State law establishes specific procedures and standards that the Board of Commissioners must follow in making its decision. The board must base this decision upon competent, material, and substantial evidence presented during this hearing. A quasi-judicial decision is constrained by the standards contained in the town's land development ordinance and must be based on the facts presented in the record. All applications for special use permit must comply with the land development ordinance for the town of Beaufort and whether the special use is appropriate in the proposed location. If you are speaking tonight, please focus on your comments on facts, evidence, and the ordinance standards rather than personal preference or opinion. The Board of Commissioners shall hear relevant information from parties with standing as set forth by the North Carolina General Statute 160D-406 and 160D-1402. Individuals who are not parties with standing may still be permitted to provide competent, material, and substantial evidence at the discretion of the board, provided the information is relevant and is not repetitive. Parties may appear in person, through an attorney, or through an authorized representative. Parties may present evidence, call witnesses, ask questions permitted under the procedure, and make legal arguments. The Board of Commissioners, acting through the mayor, may subpoena witnesses and compel the production of evidence. For certain topics, the board may hear expert opinion testimony. Individuals providing expert testimony must establish their qualifications and explain the factual basis for their opinion. Witnesses may provide testimony and must be sworn or affirmed before they provide their testimony. Now, at this point in time, I would like to ask all the individuals, the town, and the applicant and their representative to come up to be sworn in or affirmed.
touch one another.
We could do it in 2 batches. Let's do 2 batches. Raise your right hand. And do you state your name, please? Do you swear or affirm that the evidence you shall give to the board in this action shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Please state your name. Do you swear or affirm that the evidence you shall give to the board in this action shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Thank you very much. And at this point in time, I would like to ask any individuals who wish to provide testimony who is not already being called by the town staff or by the applicant to come up. Okay. Seeing that there is none, I'd like to go ahead and welcome anyone who is a party withstanding. Anyone who wishes to participate as a party withstanding, please come up and be qualified. Seeing that there is none, thank you. At this time, I would like to ask the Board of Commissioners if they have anything to disclose, if they've had any ex parte communications, any conflict of interest, or any bias or reason that would prevent them from a fair and impartial consideration of this matter. Seeing that there is none, thank you so much. At this point in time, I would like to invite staff to go ahead and present the case and formally enter it into evidence.
Thank you, Mayor. You took the words right out of my mouth. We would like to submit our staff report and all exhibits as part of case number 26-12 for the official record, as well as the presentation that we will give you this evening.
Accepted. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. So moving on, the first slide that we have, of course, is the request for the special use permit for a gas station at 1507 Live Oak Street. We have a vicinity map showing near where that would be. That is near the confluences of Highway 101 and Live Oak Street, near where a former BP station used to be, right in that corner area. We have our zoning map for this on this particular slide, which shows that this property is B1, Business 1, which does allow a gas station as a special use permit. You can also see some of the surrounding zoning to the north of that. That is zoned R8, Residential 8, and some of the property to the west across Highway 101 has a mixture zoning of single-family residential R8 as well as commercial B1. The CAMA land use plan does identify this area, and with the commercial is allowing for large-scale type operations, and this type of use as a gas station is consistent with the special use permit, is consistent with that CAMA land use designation. Again, we have up before you this evening, it may be a little difficult to read for some of those who are in the audience this evening, but what we have on the screen is an actual excerpt of the site plan identifying the different attributes of the site, including landscaping, where the tank locations would be, and the structure that would be used to house the convenience store portion, which should be noted is a reuse of a building or a property that used to be known as Redneck Barbecue. It's been Roland's Barbecue, but there are no new structures being built to house the convenience portion of this request this evening. And this goes along, this was a previous elevation slide that we were given of about what a concept could be. I believe as the applicant has some other slides that they may wish to share with the board in their presentation this evening that may look a little bit different. I'd just like the board to realize that this is conceptual, this is not exact. Thank you. Again, that goes the same thing with the pump locations and their design. And we also asked for a photometric plan. We know that lighting is very important to the board, and so the applicant did provide us a photometrics. I will tell you, I am not a photometric expert, so please be careful in asking me questions regarding that. But based on the information that was provided to us, it does appear that the lighting is to be downward lighting, what we consider dark sky. We learned that previously from Commissioner Oliver, that was important for our area. So we try to make sure that all applications have that dark sky type lighting. Again, we have some photos of the existing site, what it looks like right now, which is almost 100% impervious. We wanted to show you all aspects and all angles of this. Now, at the planning board meeting, when this took place on June 15th, and the board originally heard this on May the 18th, and the planning board asked the applicant to go back and look at some options and make some potential revisions to some landscaping and some other areas. And the applicant did come back with some changes. I think it's important to point out, as part of this request, and to remind the board that landscaping has been attached to impervious surfaces over the years. It's your impervious surface ratio. So if you are adding impervious surface, then your landscaping requirement is more robust than if you are not adding any. And in this particular case, in this particular application, the applicant is actually reducing the amount of impervious surface by adding some additional landscaping and trees, shrubbery, and so forth. So that is why a full landscaping plan of the total parking lot in the area was not included, and I thought that would be important for the board to understand. Again, going back to the June 15th meeting, the planning board did make a unanimous recommendation of approval, and I know this is included in your packet, but I certainly want to read this from the screen. The planning board recommend unanimous approval with the following condition: that upon implementing the provided landscaping plan with the address modification, that the planning board
Island to the east of the fuel pumps.
Thank you, Mayor. Usually it's not a problem with people hearing my voice. I normally get some giggles out of it with that. With the additional modification that the planting island to the east of the fuel pumps be modified to incorporate 2 or more large shade trees in order to be compatible and in harmony with adjacent land units and development patterns. And in the interest of public safety, that a pedestrian path be provided from the shown sidewalk to the businesses in the front of Huntley Plaza. Those were the two recommended conditions. Additionally, though, the planning board also unanimously voted to include some concerns that they had that they wanted to address with the board of commissioners. Is number one, that because this isn't a corridor that is located or identified in the entry corridor plan within the town of Beaufort, as noted in the Gateway Master Plan, that they have concerns over the proposal of the above-ground fuel tanks in this corridor. Number two, that the board had concerns related to the screening of the side of the existing building, and that the entire side of the existing building, which would be the west side of the structure, contains electrical panels, meters, and so forth, that has not been screened from Highway 101 and would not be screened architecturally or by the landscaping that is proposed regards to the required finding and the facts, your first finding is that the proposed use is an allowable special use in the zoning district, which is being located within the B1 zoning district. I've already testified earlier that it is an allowed use with a special use permit. The application, your second one, your application is complete. The planning board evidently felt that the application was complete. Here's why it has been submitted to this board as part of a formal quasi-judicial hearing. Number 3 is in regards to does it meet the CAMA land use? Based on the map that was submitted earlier and the sections out of the adopted CAMA land use plan, it does meet that criteria. In regards to items D, E, F, and G, our staff has not been provided with any information so far that shows that any of these would not be held in compliance. So in saying that, until information or unless information is provided you to this evening, in contrary to that, those items appear to have also been met.
Okay.
So, and with that, Madam Mayor, I'll be glad to entertain questions
Yes, sir.
of the board.
Thank you, Kyle, for that overview. I'm going to start with Commissioner Matthews.
Thank you. Kyle, I just want to make sure I understood the last statement that you made. Are you saying those items are in compliance with the conditions that the planning board proposed, or they're in compliance absent those conditions?
Neither one of those statements. What I want to be clear on is that we have not been provided any information so far, which is again why we have the hearing this evening, that shows that there are any specific issues with those items. Meaning that someone did not provide us with an appraisal of a property of how it may be hurt or degraded. We have also not been provided with anything regarding a traffic impact and so forth. I wanted to be clear on that is, we have not received any information on those 4 items whatsoever, but hence that's why you have your quasi-judicial hearing.
Okay, and I'm not speaking to the items that was submitted by the planning board that they had concerns about.
Yes, sir.
None of those.
Okay.
I'm only speaking to the 2 conditions. They gave approval with those 2 conditions.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you're not saying that it's in compliance absent those 2 conditions? You're saying it's in compliance in your mind?
With those conditions.
With those 2 conditions?
Yes, sir.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
I just wanted to make sure I was
Yes, sir.
hearing you correctly. Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Cooper.
Yeah, could you go back to the previous one where you're showing in terms of the planning board? Yes. I have issue. What's with the terms of the trees? Because I'm picturing that area in my head, and the only trees that I can recall that is basically in there is on people's property. So I don't understand how it would be compatible with harmony when they're already on, just the trees are just on the property itself, personal property. So where is it that they want them to, in terms of being harmony?
Where is it where they would like
In the harmony.
additional trees? Be glad to show that to you. You see the slide up on the screen, and I need to.
Yeah, make sure we are looking at the same thing.
That's exactly right. I wanted to make sure. So to your right and to everyone also on the right, the planting island is where they would like those 2 additional shade trees. And that planting island runs north-south and separates the shopping center that would be to the east from the fuel pumps to the west.
So is that what they're trying to do, is present a barrier of some sort?
Yes, sir, that's a good way to put it.
Okay, I can understand that.
Okay.
Then the one, then number 2. In the interest of public safety that the pedestrian pathway be provided. Once again, so where are we looking for that to be?
I'm going to go back to that same slide.
Okay.
So I'm going to. So based on the site plan, what you have right now, you can see it to the very top where it says proposed angled
Angle,
parking.
yes, sir.
Okay, up in there where the sidewalk goes across the frontage of the existing structure, the existing building, which used to be.
Hey, Kyle.
Redneck Park. Mm-hmm.
Look at there,
For those at home.
mobile technology, look at there.
Yeah, for
Gonna
those
sing
at
a
home.
song
get
next?
to-
Yeah, you're gonna sing a song for us, aren't
Sing a
you?
song.
It's unusual to be.
I think Charlie is scared to death now. But along Highway 101, there will be a sidewalk. And the goal is to provide access from anyone who is walking in that sidewalk to also walk perpendicular over across in front of that would connect them to those businesses in the shopping center. So there would be some type of designated walkway that would get you from the sidewalk of Highway 101 to the front door of that.
Why didn't you leave it at that? Because I knew there was no sidewalk, so I'm going like, why is this asking requesting this sidewalk? But now I see the state is doing, okay,
Yes, sir.
it should have led with that.
Sorry about that.
I think you did, but that's okay.
All right, further question.
All right.
So have a traffic study been done? There's a lot of cars traveling along there. And I can see an issue in terms of cars exiting, entrance, no problem.
No, sir, a traffic impact analysis has not been requested. And to our knowledge, it has not been, but that does not mean that the applicant can speak to that or their agents this evening.
Okay. Okay, a couple others I have, but I can use it, I can say them for the applicant. Thank you.
Okay? Yes, sir.
Commissioner Gillikin.
So I see a 8-foot voluntary lawn space up there. If this is approved, does that voluntary become mandatory?
That is up to the discretion of the board, is my understanding. It could be a condition, and it could be. But when you say that, I want to make sure that we're speaking very specific in its location. So.
Yeah, I'm speaking about the one on the left of the drawing that you just zoomed in on that said 8-foot voluntary lawn space.
Yes, ma'am.
Are there other voluntary lawn spaces in that plan? I can't see.
Commissioner, I will be glad to tell you that pretty much every area that you see there that is shown as lawn
voluntary.
space is totally voluntary. Again, it goes back to, and thank you, that goes back to what I mentioned originally. Because they were not creating any additional impervious area, they were not even required to put in shrub number 1, but they did so at their own will and discretion.
Any further questions for Kyle? Commissioner Piccolo?
I have some questions, but they may be more suited for the applicant. Kyle, do we have much information about the above-ground storage tanks? Obviously, they're allowed in our UDO. That's not an issue, whether people like them or not. That's neither here nor there. Unfortunately, our LDO allows for that. But just questions regarding the safety or protection of those tanks. Do we know, on the diagram, it talks about a berm, and it's a containment berm. Do you know if that berm is an elevated berm? Is it a concrete berm? Do you know much about that, as far as if it's able to also prevent any type of vehicle, injury or impact or anything like that for those units?
Commissioner, I do not. I do know that anything that they would install would have to meet the state requirements, which in this particular case would be probably through the fire code as part of the North Carolina Building Code. So anything regarding those, it would be mandatory that they meet that, plus anything else that the state may require them to have there as as part of that. But I am, as I mentioned earlier, I'm not an expert on lighting, and I'm certainly not an expert when it comes to that, but that would be an excellent question for the applicant.
Yeah, as this is an evidentiary hearing, it didn't seem like there was a lot of information regarding that. And I did see the letter from the fire marshal, I believe, who basically said most of that review would be done during the permitting process.
Yes, sir.
But it's also difficult sitting here doing this evidentiary hearing to try to make a decision on public safety without having understanding of what that would look like and the type of protection in that area. Because it does seem like it'd be different if that was behind the building completely, but it does seem like to be in the path of travel for vehicles on their way out, and just a little bit more dicey. Thank you.
Any questions?
More of a statement than a question. I think you're right. Commissioner LaPiccolo, the applicant probably has someone here with him that can speak to the spill prevention counter control measures as required for above-ground tanks and explain that to the board.
Okay. All righty. Unless there's any further questions for Kyle? Yes, we do have another one.
The vegetation screening around the tanks, is that as high as the tanks? Or should I save that for the applicant?
I would say you could ask the applicant. We think it's close. There may be a few inches different, and with the tanks being a little bit higher than the 8-foot fence.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. All right, unless there's any further questions for Kyle, we'll say thank you to Kyle and welcome up the applicant. Thank you, Kyle. So the applicant or its representative, please come forward, please. State your names.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Mayor, Board of Commissioners. Excellent.
There you go. Thank you. Thank you.
Are we putting this into evidence as well? It should on the slide.
What Mr. Tommy Simpson is giving you right now are just paper copies of some of the updated photos that you did see already that are part of it already on the screen.
Okay.
But that way you have your own copy in front of you to get a little bit of a glimpse of what we're working on.
All right.
My name is Eva Grimm. I am the CEO for Jim Dandy Stores, and I am here because we've had a great opportunity. For those of you that may not realize, the applicant being the 1507 Live Oak Street, Mr. Tommy Simpson, and the Beaufort Hardware and Paint Store. That is a luxury of partnership that we feel strongly about because of the local connection here. So for some of you that have grown up around here may know who we are, but we thought it would only be fair to make sure that everyone in this room and the folks listening in understand who we are and why we're excited about this project. And I may need that clicker. So the proposed new business on 1507 Live Oak brings together two local businesses with a long history of caring for this community and going above and beyond. The owners of the property, Mr. Tommy Simpson and Simcoe LLC, the applicant for this special use permit. The Thomas Simpson Construction Company was formed in '84 with its current office residing at the Huntley Plaza. In '98, Simon LLC by Mr. Tommy Simpson purchased the plaza and completed a full exterior and interior renovation prior to opening the Beaufort Ace. The success of the Beaufort Hardware Company and what you have seen over the last 10 years in this location is a result of an owner whose commitment to bring top-notch products and services to this community shows in action, not just in words. Mr. Simpson, who is here, for those of you that don't know him, has gone above and beyond this community for many years. You can see that in the evolution of this plaza and his commitment to many other local projects. And it's probably no surprise to anyone that is familiar with this business that BHP was awarded 26 Retail Beacon of the Year award by Hardware Connections, which is a large publication focused on independent hardware retailers, wholesalers, and manufacturers. And that history of supporting local projects goes in hand with building partnerships with local businesses who care about the community for more than just what they can get out of it for business. That is why, for us at Jim Dandy Stores, when these conversations began, the idea of partnering with another local business that's eager to innovate and do things right for the community was a pretty exciting adventure. The proposed operator for the unit that we're talking at 1507 Live Oak is J.M. Davis Industries Jim Dandy Stores and Mr. Jim Davis. Thank you. It is a third-generation local company started in 1939 right there on the Beaufort waterfront, fueling all those big boats for many years. And part of the company are two divisions, Davis Fuels and Jim Dandy Stores, representing the retail division that would be represented at this location. The Jim Dandy Stores have 7 locations and 1 self-serve gas station in Atlantic, North Carolina, to support the more remote areas of the Down East community. For me personally, having worked for some of the largest and very innovative convenience store companies in this industry and running R&D departments, this place and the Jim Dandy Stores are truly unique and rare to have a true community store in our industry. Those of you that follow the news and have seen anything about gas stations in the last 15 years, and even all the news happening in our community, know that large chains have, for a good portion of the units, acquired most of the small ones. So being a small local operator that allows us to be nimble, where staff know almost every customer coming in through the door, it also gives us an opportunity to treat our communities in a way that accommodates the unique needs of a community. I worked for a very large chain and we built a lot of stores, and I can tell you, going into community, we did not give an option to say, hey, you're in Beaufort, let's make this something special for this community. That is the part that we treasure, and it is more than just a talk. Just one example, if you look at customizing something that we do, we bake fresh cheese light rolls that many of you appreciate, and some seriously thick bacon every morning in an environment where all the large chains, including all the ones that I've worked with, are cutting back labor hours, and even places like Panera Bread do not bake fresh in their stores anymore. That is why I care about this. That's why I'm excited about being in this town and being able to bring something that truly is unique. Our owners have given us the opportunity and continue to aggressively invest to bring the best of operations in our industry, rebuilding, remodeling existing sites, and finding truly special opportunities like this one to do something special for Beaufort. Because our goal is to be the best in operations and innovation without becoming a cookie cutter box and without losing our unique and special experience. That culture is set by our president, Jim Davis, who has spent, as long as I've known him over the last 7 years, looking for a location in Beaufort that would meet the things that we care about. And that is why we are excited about this location. We're a convenience store. Yes, we have bakeries. Yes, we have great people. But part of convenience store is being convenient. What this location offers that we have not seen at any other opportunity in Beaufort is 5 points of exit, 4 points of entry, all already existing on this property without having to mess with anything that's already happening. This location would give Jim Dandy the opportunity to bring our local community bakery food and convenience experience in an elevated fashion to a community, and doing it in a way that fits Beaufort. What you can see here is just, I'm going to show you a couple of these slides that show you what it looks like today and what we're envisioning. All of these photos are still in development. As you see, we continue to go through and fine-tune what's there, but it will give you an idea what we are seeing for this location. This is our own little Beaufort beautification project. We live here. This is our town. Being able to come into a community and Mr. Tommy providing us with an absolutely beautiful canvas to be showcased so that when you're coming into town, you're not just seeing a building. It's just not a place that just sells some drinks. When you look at the corridor coming into it, we all realize that part of business are the utility lines and electrical and all the meters that we have to have. That's part of business. But there are ways to do it in a way that that is not the focus of what you first see coming into it, the way it would be today when you look at it. The entry from 101 and 70 intersection certainly is a big deal, but it's also being able to look at the location and say having pumps that are accommodating to folks coming through. If you look at this photo, this will give you an idea, and Mr. Cooper, you mentioned the questions earlier for exit and entry and some of the things on the crossways. Based on feedback that our team will present here shortly, it allows for cars to be able to pull in and to exit without a boat trailer having to be turned around in a 60-degree, 90-degree turn. It allows you to be able to pull out easier. And the beauty of the way that the pumps, the way we envision the design, is that it gives you enough space between the fueling stations so that if you are coming in with your boat for the weekend, or if you're pulling it from your house on the way, that once you pull it up front, you've got enough room that you're not blocking the pump behind it. Those are some of the things that really make us excited about this, but the bottom line is being home, being in our community, where the company started, finding a site like this that allows us, with minor adjustments, to actually create a major improvement, not just for convenience of the community, but actually for that first impression when you come into town. We're super excited, and it is an extra bonus to have an opportunity to do it with Mr. Tommy Simpson and the team at the Baltimore Hardware and Paint. So I'm going to turn this over to Mr. Bryce.
Good evening. Eva's going to hand you some other documents that we'll be covering as we go through this process, and we'll be introducing those into evidence later, but I just, so we don't get interrupted during the remainder of the presentation, I want to go ahead and get those to you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Eva, and thank you for your time tonight. My name is Bryce Pike. I'm with the Pike Law Firm in Morehead City, and I represent Simon LLC regarding its application for a special use permit to allow fuel sales at its property located at 1507 Live Oak Street in Beaufort, North Carolina. We are here tonight to discuss and present evidence that demonstrates our compliance with items A through G, which are the special use permit requirements, which are the 7 requirements that must be met for you to approve our special use permit. Requirements A, B, and C are basically check the box requirements that are either yes or no, and the town staff has previously told you that we do meet A, B, and C. So I'll be focusing on requirements D through G, which have also been confirmed by the town staff that there's been no adverse evidence presented showing that we don't comply with them. But I'll be submitting additional evidence on those points to help you with your decisions on those items D through G tonight. We will start off with section D, which states the streets, driveways, parking lots, traffic control, and any other traffic circulation features shall be designed and provided in accordance with current traffic and engineering standards and town regulations and found to be adequate for the proposed special use. At this time, I will call up licensed engineer, Mr. Ron Culliver, and also I'll put the site plan on the monitor. Mr. Culliver, please state your name and occupation.
Ronald D. Cullifer. I'm a consulting engineer, professional engineer in Morehead City
And how long have you been an engineer?
since 1980.
And tell us a little bit about what your practice consists of as an engineer.
So our firm is primarily a civil surveying firm. We provide consulting services throughout the community, municipalities, for engineering work related to site planning, water sewer, subdivisions, environmental permitting.
And are you familiar with the site plan of the subject property that we're here about tonight?
I am, my firm prepared that document.
At this time, I'd like to tender Mr. Culver as an expert on the site plan, and his experience, based on his experience and education as an engineer, and his creation of the site plan before you tonight.
Mr. Pike, we're just going to give you a mic. Thank you.
Check.
It's hot. Thank you.
Would you like me to repeat that?
Yes.
At this time, I'd like to tender Mr. Cullifer as an expert based on his education and licensing as an engineer in regards to the site plan that's before you tonight.
Thank you very much.
Okay, Mr. Cullifer, can you walk us through the site plan of the subject property?
Yes. So up on the screen, I'm not very good with the mic, but up on the screen, I guess you got the same side. We have a full access on the southern part of the property. It's labeled existing two-way entrance. It's north of the old gas station site. And then on further up on 101, we have an exit-only proposed that allows that traffic to flow in from the south and exit to the north. You notice that the proposed parking beside the convenience store is basically a 60-degree parking. So our traffic being one way will pull in, back out, and pull out. We've interacted with DOT and discussed the changes here with this potential use. And if we move forward with this, permitting for that driveway revision as exit only is likely to be approved by the North Carolina Department of Transportation. Dimensionally, your ordinance has requirements for drive aisles, for parking spaces. Our plan meets all of those dimensional requirements, and they're, there's just from an evidentially standpoint, Section 13 of your ordinance identifies parking requirements, and we've highlighted, that we've complied with those in our table that's on the plan here. That shows the required number of parking spaces, the square footage of the structure. The existing structure is roughly 50,000 square feet, and we've accommodated or accounted for the parking for the current facility as it is. We could have a smaller parking requirement, but as the uses potentially change throughout the center, we don't want to reduce any parking because the use might change for some of the other spaces in the building. So our table, parking data table shows that we have an excess requirement for that parking.
Thank you. Mr. Cullifer, is it in your professional opinion, do the streets, driveways, parking lots, traffic control, and any other traffic circulation features, are they designed and provided in accordance with current traffic and engineering standards and town regulations, and are they adequate for the proposed special uses before us tonight?
They are.
And that is based on everything that you just told us about the access and parking and everything else you
That's
just
correct.
read. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor, if I can interject, if the board has any questions about traffic or anything that Mr. Cullifer testified to, now might be a good time to ask him before he leaves the stand.
Okay, very good. Commissioner Gilligan?
I have very little understanding about how this setup will interact with the roundabout. Do you have any insight?
The roundabout will be to the south of where our entrance point is. So the interaction will be just like any other driveway that occurs on Live Oak, east and west, and 101 to the north. Obviously, the construction's underway. The first course of action will be to teach people how to use a roundabout. That's probably the most important part, but, our full movement that we have, is not going to be, changed. It'll still be there. And we have a full movement to the north that'll be changed to the one-way. So we believe that it's going to be, part of the overall process, but not interfering.
Okay, can you comment in any way how a boat with a trailer is most likely to exit the parking lot and go south into the roundabout?
So if
Like
they're-
making a left-hand turn out of there? Like, what would be the natural flow of traffic through there if the boat was coming through there? Because I saw a car with a boat hooked to it in the drawing.
So if you're pulling out of the gas pumps? Yeah, so they would exit north. We go past the station to the exit only on the north side, turn left on the 101 into the roundabout and make whatever direction you're going to go in the roundabout process.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Cooper?
Well, she took my thunder on that roundabout.
Okay.
But, I'm still trying to picture and looking at your handout, and I'm looking at drawing, so where's the parking? If I wanted to just not get gas, but just park to go into the convenience, into the store itself, so where would I be parking?
To the left side of the store, just north of the pumps.
So like the present parking lot that's out, parking that exists there now?
It's labeled, proposed 9 angled parking spaces with wheel stops at the bottom of the store itself. Sorry.
Ron, the design, the drawing, this is not correct then, with the stalls on the opposite side?
Yeah, I mean, that's the visual for screening of the side of the building.
Okay, all right.
And you mentioned the old gas station, so the old gas station site is gonna be used for what purpose?
That's not our property, that's to our south.
Okay. But you mentioned it in your presentation.
Yeah, it was adjoining the old station to the south.
Okay.
It just, I mean, I would just reference that it used to be there where, south of our property.
Okay, thank you.
Now you have something? Okay, yeah, okay.
Now I have a question.
Okay, Commissioner Matthews.
Since you brought up the photo with the screening, and obviously that was a concern raised by the planning board, then I'm taking it that y'all agree to the screening as a part of the approval, if there's an approval.
We do,
Thank you.
and are committed to making it to where it's a non-issue when you come through there with landscaping and the screening.
I think I'm hearing it. So what I'm seeing in this photo that you passed out, is that the screening you're proposing?
It is.
Okay, thank you.
I wasn't a screen guy.
Commissioner Piccolo, do you have a question?
So you've agreed to the screen. Have you also agreed to the tree or the tree issues that they
We
brought
did.
up? You have it as well. Question, currently on the site, there are some speed bumps, like speed mitigation. Is that still planned in the site in the future to help kind of slow down traffic in that
We
area,
haven't
especially on
discussed
the
that
exit?
specifically, but I mean, that's good practice. I mean, we want to slow people down for any kind of retail center like that. So exactly where they're located, we haven't picked up on a survey, but that concept certainly will be continued.
Okay. Yeah, it seems to be helpful to slow people down.
It does.
And especially, like I said, with those above-ground tanks, I think it would be helpful. Thank you.
And I do have a question for you, if you don't mind, before you go anywhere. It has to deal with traffic. So if we could, you've got this up here. I'm noticing that you have, when we're coming off of Highway 70 roundabout onto 101, your first entrance is two-way
Yes, ma'am.
entrance, and then a customer could pull into the gas station.
Correct.
And then they pull out one way out of the back entrance, and then they exit that way.
Correct.
Okay. When you have traffic coming from the opposite direction, and they would have to make that left into the facility. How are they going to make that sharp turn to get back around? And I think that might have been asked already.
There's plenty of room in radius. I mean,
Okay.
Can't read that dimension from here, but it's 67 feet wide on the canopy, I think that's what I'm seeing. So that's a big radius to make if you're coming south and making that
So,
turn.
All right. So they'll be able to make that nice wide turn as traffic is exiting the parking lot as well?
Correct.
Okay, all righty. Just seemed a little tight on the drawing.
Yeah, it's a small piece of paper, but it's a lot of space.
Okay, all right. And there's no concern about people having to try, because currently, right now, when they have to turn into the shopping center, heading, I guess we're going to say south, right? It holds up traffic a little bit for people to have to wait for individuals to make that left-hand turn to get into that plaza. You're going to have probably an increased amount of traffic coming into this area because it's a gas station. People are going to want to go there. Does your traffic impact analysis factor in for stuff like that, making it easier to turn?
So we have not done a traffic impact analysis.
Well,
But in our work with DOT, that traffic movement is acceptable.
is acceptable. Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Okay, we got more questions. Is it for Mr. Culliver?
I'm going to ask him if it's for him. I'm not positive if it is or not.
Okay.
Are you speaking also to any, or addressing any questions? We've already had some about the above-ground tank. Are you answering those, or do we have someone else?
Yes,
But we
he
do
will
have a
be.
question about traffic before we move on to that. You have a question about that?
I do. I still have questions about boats. So if somebody comes through hauling a boat and they're not going to use the west exit that's one way, can they turn right in front of Beaufort Hardware and circle back around and come down on Live Oak with a boat? Yes. There's still plenty of room for that.
I'll give you a mic, sir.
The other ingresses and egresses are not changing, they're staying as is.
Okay,
Sorry.
thank you. And I had, my second one was about the screening trees. If those trees don't provide adequate screening, like the trees aren't healthy or whatever it is, can we come back and ask for it to be redone in the future if there are complaints about it?
Well, it's a permit that, you know, is basically in perpetuity and it's subject to enforcement. So if a condition of the permit or one of the fundamental elements of the application is no longer in existence, or if it's being violated, then we come back around through code enforcement and do something about it. So that's how we would address failure of landscaping, if you would.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Paula, was that in regards to the tanks?
That's good. Yeah, regards to the tanks, yeah.
Yes, and that's a type A, so it's got a fence as well, an 8-foot fence, in addition to the vegetation.
Okay, I think the vegetation looks more attractive than the fence, and I think it'll make
No,
a nice
I
cover for it.
understand, just, that type A is just the strongest barrier that you have in your ordinance.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
Is that all from Mr. Culliver? On the point of the traffic,
Now, there's going to be a
Are we
section, I
moving
guess
on
we
now
have.
to the tanks,
Well,
or-
that's the question I have.
Yeah.
They have a question for the tanks, but is that topic going to be covered under a different finding?
yes.
Okay, so
Okay.
we'll wait till we get to that finding to ask the question.
Perfect.
Okay, very good.
Thank you.
Next, we'll move to subsection E, that the proposed special use will not substantially injure the value of the adjoining or abutting properties. And for evidence on this point, I will call Mr. Christopher Mashburn, who is a licensed MAI appraiser here in Carteret County.
Chet? Yes, it is.
Okay. Okay, Mr. Mashburn, can you please state your name and occupation?
Christopher Mashburn. I am a certified general appraiser.
And your appraiser, you have a license?
Yes, so license from the state of North Carolina to appraise, as a general appraiser, commercial and residential properties.
And how long have you been licensed?
I became a trainee in 2011, became a certified general 2015 approximately, so a little over 11 years.
And do you have any designations over and above just your appraisal license?
Yes, I have a MAI designation from the Appraisal Institute, AIGRS, which is a appraisal review designation, and also the American Society of Appraisers, the ASA designation.
Okay. And have you performed an appraisal on the subject property that we're talking about tonight?
I have, yeah, market study / appraisal.
Okay. I would like to tender Mr. Mashburn as a expert for real estate property valuation based on his education, background, and experience.
Thank you.
Mr. Mashburn, you said you have performed an appraisal on the adjoining and abutting properties that are adjoining and abut the subject property?
Yes, I have.
And have you done an appraisal on all of them?
Within the appraisal, the document that y'all have, all of the properties are addressed in there that are adjacent or abutting.
And can you walk us through some of your methodology as to what you went through in your appraisal?
So you start out by looking at the immediate neighborhood, what adjacent land uses are, what those adjacent and abutting properties are, and just the neighborhood in general. That's the front part of the appraisal, the vast majority of it, because there is quite a few abutting properties over on the east side of the property and north side of the property. And then from there, to determine what impacts this type of use would have, you go and you look at similar uses throughout the market area. In this case, specifically trying to find other properties where there are above ground tanks and gas stations to see if that impacts property values. And then slowly expanding out from there. And so to determine if there is impacts on property value, I'll look at sales in the areas of each one of those locations, land values in each one of those locations, that type of thing, to determine if the presence of those, of that use of those tanks and fuel stations differ from other areas in the neighborhood that are not adjacent or abutting.
Okay, and in your appraisal, did you formulate an opinion as to if this proposed use we're here about tonight will substantially injure the value of the adjoining or the abutting properties?
Yes, I did. So essentially what the findings were was that the presence of a gas station in a use like that, the presence of above ground tanks does not necessarily, and does not indicate that values are substantially injured.
Okay, and at this time, I move to enter his appraisal into evidence in support of our application.
Thank you. We'll accept this into evidence. Thank you.
Thank you. And at this time, I will turn over to Mr. Mashburn if y'all have any additional questions about his appraisal or anything in regards to this element.
Yes. Commissioner Gilligan?
So it was difficult for me to review this whole packet on the spot. But you said that property values probably would not be substantially impacted in a negative way. Did you find negative impacts at all? And
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, did you find negative impacts at all versus substantial negative impacts?
I did not find impacts at all. When looking at land values and sales of properties in other areas, there was no indication that this fuel station or tanks would impact the value of adjacent properties.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody else? Any questions? Yes, Commissioner Matthews.
Just one question. The statement that because of the physical characteristics and the measures proposed to be taken to buffer the subject and ensure compliance with the applicable standards. So did you consider, I don't know if you went to this depth or not, but did you consider what is proposed in the way, and I know I'm getting into a question perhaps that goes into the design, but the proposed design and the materials that are being used that has now been given to us so far as Steel Tank is concerned and so forth, that is there to meet compliance with state and federal laws. Did you evaluate from that standpoint on this particular facility versus some of the older facilities that you might have been looking at that really didn't have as much of a compliance standards to meet at the time that they were installed? Did you get to that level in the way of considering and, you know, the safeguards that will be in place for this particular site, so it shouldn't be an impact?
Right, so with properties that are existing, there's some amount of acceptance that that neighborhood has with the
Right.
properties the way that they are.
Right.
When it comes to what is proposed for the subject, as that statement that you read indicates, I absolutely, you know, the conclusion that there would not be impacts on property values for adjacent and abutting properties is based on the assumption, hypothetical, or extraordinary assumption that the visual barriers will be installed as they were shown on that site plan.
Okay, so any of the standards that are proposed that perhaps even go beyond state or federal requirements, which is going to be my question back to the engineer, you considered those standards in the way of any impacts on property values around, given that they took those steps, whatever they might be?
Yes, sir, I did.
Thank you.
Okay.
So in doing your evaluation of the properties, did you physically, I mean, were you looking at court records in terms of purchase price? Or, I mean, how are you determining, like, say, Piggly Wiggly store or the property that right across on Live Oak being flower shop, cleaners, and et cetera?
So there's a few different data sources that we have, ranging depending on whether or not it's a commercial or residential property that we're looking at. Locally, yes, court records, deeds, GIS, those provide a general idea of sales that are occurring in the area, along with MLS. And then once you dive into more land uses and agriculture, well, I would say agriculture is not a whole lot around there anymore, but commercial and land uses, then I start using other data sources like CoStar and Crexi to find sales of properties, verify those sales are arm's length transactions, meaning that they were done at market rates, that there wasn't any concessions given and that type of thing. So,
What about the residents right on 101 that'd be directly across from the store itself? There's a few residential homes.
Sure.
So was there a study done in terms of, I mean, can't never determine, you know, the property value, but was that taken into consideration?
yeah, yes, sir. So what I did was I looked at what sales were around existing facilities that have gas stations and that type of thing, to see how those sales that were immediately adjacent or abutting, how were they different than sales that were half a mile or a mile away, but were still within the same neighborhood. And then look and say, okay, well, if this use does come to fruition, how would it impact these properties? And so the data that I found in those other market areas and those other neighborhoods indicated that there would not be an impact on property values for adjacent and abutting properties.
That it would not be?
They would not, the presence of the fuel station would not impact adjacent and abutting properties, correct?
Okay, thank you.
Any further questions for Mr. Mashburn? All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
We'll now move to subsection F, which requires that the proposed special use will be compatible and in harmony with adjoining land uses and the development patterns in the immediate area. And for this, I've got some pictures that were taken by Miss Eva Grimm and Tommy Simpson, and I will let Eva and Tommy confirm who took these pictures and where they are. So I'll start out with Tommy. I think we've lost battery or this thing's not on.
Mine's gonna be easy because I only took one picture. It's number 1 is Town Creek Marina, on the west end of Cedar Street, at the Frost Marina. It's above ground tank, has a beautiful flag in the background. It, you know, it's been there for a long time, very visible. There is another tank on that property, but I couldn't get to it to get a good photo of it. So that's the one I took. Eva took the rest of them.
So is that a fair and accurate description or a depiction of what you saw on the day you took the picture?
It is.
Okay, thank you. I'd move to enter that picture into evidence. And now Ms. Eva.
Okay, we'll
If you
accept
could-
that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have batteries for this mic? Or they just want to
Is it
get
on the bottom?
There we go.
Never mind.
Hear me now? There we
Yes.
go. I took the remaining ones for the purposes of really looking at what is out there, but also for the purposes of saying this is what we don't want to look like. And
Okay.
these are all done last Thursday.
And they were in is a fair and accurate depiction of what you saw when you were there on site?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I would move to enter the rest of the photos into evidence, please.
Yes, I'll accept those.
Thank you. And we have 3 more photos that I believe Ms. Grimm took all 3 of these photos. Is that correct, Ms. Grimm?
I took number 2 and 3. The one in number 1, that was.
And are these fair and accurate depiction of the subject matter that you were taking pictures of at the time? Yes, sir. Okay, thank you. I would move to enter these pictures into evidence as well, please.
Thank you.
Okay, this first slide, these pictures show fuel tank and other fuel cell locations in Beaufort. They're above ground. Our tanks will be covered with screening and landscaping, unlike the other tanks in town, and that are above ground. And these pictures further demonstrate that the adjoining shopping centers have no landscaping, and our plan will far exceed the landscaping on adjoining land uses and development patterns in the immediate area. So that is our evidence for requirement D, and if you have any further questions about that, I'll be glad to answer those.
Does anybody have any questions about that?
You want to go?
Commissioner Cooper? Okay.
Just a couple. The information that you handed out has, from the, I guess, the Steel Tank Institute on Fire Guard, which I guess is the tank that you're proposing to be installed at the facility, and has specs for that. And I don't know if this is a question for you or someone that came with you, but the standards that are enumerated on what you passed out for Fire Guard, do you know whether or not it actually exceeds the EPA SBCC requirements or not?
I would like to handle that in the next prong, maybe when Mr. Cullifer, and I've got some other information for you on that.
Okay.
But if we just, as a flow thing, if we could address the questions related to the subsection F, but if we don't, I'll just move on to the next one that I think will get to some of your questions.
Okay, so hold on any of the tank questions.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Okay.
All right, any questions about condition F?
Being the tank?
No. That's going to be G, apparently.
No, those pictures of the tanks that he had prior to this one, no. Yes, those.
Yeah,
And we ask questions.
sure. You can ask questions about these pictures, yes.
So, your tanks is going to be above ground, I'm assuming that's why this is being presented into evidence.
Yes, sir, and a big reason why we're presenting is to distinguish the other tanks in town and fuel cell locations with ours and what we're proposing to do that far exceed this. We don't want to look anything like this. We're obviously doing the type A buffer and landscaping to make it look professional, and so when you're driving down the street there, it's not a distraction. It's not even something that is on your mind, and that is our goal, and that's why we voluntarily proposed the screening and landscaping that we have.
So other than the trees itself, what other barrier would there be?
There's a type A fencing behind the trees, and then the landscaping would be in front of the trees, in front of the fence. And there's also a fuel or a berm that Mr. Cullifer and Mr. Davis can speak more to. It's more of a technical engineering part of it. It's not really an appearance thing.
And then your one that you have right after this in terms of the landscaping, yes, in the surrounding area.
And those pictures are provided to distinguish our plan from the adjacent shopping centers that currently have little to no landscaping. I don't see any landscaping. I believe that's, and those are some across the street. So we're showing that to, again, distinguish what our project will bring to the area and how it will improve the general appearance of that area.
Well, I don't know if that's being a good neighbor. I don't know if they're gonna be particularly, kind in terms of saying, oh yeah, we was, on their site there, and I understand that, you're trying to depict what your property is gonna look like in the surrounding area, but I'm not sure if that's a good way to really, to highlight your interest of landscaping compared to what's gonna maybe your neighbor.
Yes, and that's certainly not our goal, but the requirement requires us to be in harmony with the adjoining land uses and development patterns. So, we want to show that we're at least in harmony with our neighbors, and that we're providing landscaping, even though we don't technically have to. We could keep ours like that, and we're certainly happy for them to do whatever they want on their property.
All right, any further questions? All right, so we're going to move on to G.
Subsection G, again, our last requirement, the proposed use will not materially endanger the public health safety of the community if located where proposed and developed according to the submitted and above approved plan. I'm going to read to you a letter that's in your packet. Looks like this from Mr. Timothy Laughlin, who is a professional engineer with the North Carolina Petroleum and Convenience Marketers. Says and reads, this memo concerns the safety and environmental considerations of the ASTs at public motor fuel facilities and convenience stores. And for everyone's reference, ASTs stands for above ground storage tank, which is what we're proposed here. Mr. Laughlin gives his background. He's with his position with NCPCM, Technical Affairs Director for the past 35 years, and has provided him with knowledge and experience in fire and environmental codes and regulation regarding this subject. He's got a BS in petroleum engineering from Oklahoma State. He's a licensed engineer, license number 022012, and he has various other professional affiliations that are outlined in the letter. But what I want to get at here is, it says, most importantly, all self-service automotive ASTs at a minimum must meet the following fire and environmental codes: NC Fire Code Chapters 23, 50, and 57, National Fire Protection Association 30 Flammable and Combustible Liquids Code, NFPA 30A Code for motor fuel dispensing facilities and repair garages, and NFPA 70, known as the National Electrical Code. And the US EPA Spill Prevention and Control and Countermeasure Plan, SPCC 40 CFR Part 112. And he goes on to say, per my review of the special use site plan that you have before you tonight, dated 6/12/26 by the Cullifer Group, in Mr. Laughlin's professional opinion, ASTs can be safely installed and operated in accordance with above referenced codes and regulations. And at this time, I'd like to move to enter that note from Mr. Laughlin into evidence, please.
So accepted. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, and at this time, I will call on Mr. Cullifer to come up here and address any other items you may have, questions that you may have about the tanks and anything else related to this prong.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Pike. Mr. Culliver?
So
Any-
I am not a UST expert, so my answers will be limited, but I do have the, under Ryder's Laboratories specifications for the tanks that they're proposing to use. They're UL listed 2085 is listed as a protected tank. I believe those right here is in their handout packet. So these tanks undergo full-scale fire test, 2,000 degree Fahrenheit rapid rise furnace test, and you can read it, but I think it's pretty intensive fire rating for the goes. And then they have a ballistics test. It talks about shooting a 150 grain bullet at the tank and not damaging or penetrating the tank. The same thing with a hose stream. As an engineer, I wouldn't necessarily need all the details of the tank, because I wouldn't be designing the tank system or the fuel system as a site civil guy, but we would be looking for the UL approvals, and we've been provided those as what they propose to use on this facility. And we also got from the North Carolina Petroleum and Convenience Marketers the guidelines on tank locations, distances from buildings, distance from property lines, and our site plan is compliant with those recommendations.
All right, thank you, Mr. Culliver. Anybody has any question? And I believe we do. You want to start with you, Mr.
I don't know if you heard the question I asked. but-
Yeah, I don't know that answer.
Okay. So the fire guard tank itself, in reading the specs, you're not sure if that exceeds the SPCC requirements or not?
I am not. No, I'm not aware.
Okay. And is this the tank that would be installed at the facility?
That is my understanding, yes, sir.
This is what was presented to us, and I was listening to the presentation, but also reading the specs on the fire guard. So I'm just, if that's the tank that's being proposed, I just wanted to make sure I understood. Yes, this is.
That is my position based on information from my clients. Yes, sir.
Okay. And beyond these specs, which has secondary containment for the tank itself that would be installed, and there's also containment beyond that in the way of Commissioner Piccolo's questions concerning the berm.
Yeah, so we have proposed, and it is on the site plan, to have a concrete berm around it as well for additional containment, even though it's not required by the tank codes. But that was a condition that we agreed to through the planning process. And, so that would be obviously around the perimeter of the tanks, and the landscaping, proposed around that on the three sides, not the opposing side against the building, but the other three visible sides.
And that just, so I'm clear now, that was additional containment that you agreed to as a part of gaining the approval from the planning board?
That's correct.
Okay. So there is additional containment that's required beyond the SPCC requirements, even if these standards that I'm looking at for this particular tank doesn't exceed them, you're still exceeding the SPCC requirements?
Correct.
Correct. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
And Ron, is that it's an elevated berm? What's the height of the berm, and then what's the maximum height, or what's the peak height of the tanks when they're all finished?
Currently, best on my information, I think they're 8'6" diameter, probably 30 inches, 36 inches off the ground, so 11 feet, between 11 and 12 feet to the very top of the tank, and then you've got some pipes that come out and whatever, mechanical piping. I'm not sure if this picture was in your packet or not.
Mm-hmm.
So this is graphically what they're talking about.
We have that one in there.
No,
Okay.
it's not in our package.
I don't see that.
It is, but it's one with a fence. I mean, you've got one where the planting was different, but this is the one with, I think that's.
Okay.
Okay.
So that's the 8 foot tall fence that was shown in the general height and things above that. It's an AI picture.
Gary, that wasn't in our packet. I don't recall seeing that in our packet.
Are you guys going to enter that into evidence, presumably?
No, actually, the renderings we have.
Is what you prefer? Okay.
And Ron, I'd imagine there's also ballasts behind that as well, behind the fence, or no?
I'm sorry.
Are there any plans for any ballasts behind the fence? I guess I'm kind of getting at, trying to make sure that.
The concrete containment will be itself.
Itself.
So the fence is not a structural barrier. It's just a visual landscaping feature. But there'll be a concrete containment around the tanks. That's not required because they're dual tanks.
And that'll also act as a barrier
That
for
will
impact?
as an additional barrier, yes.
Okay.
So this is the picture that you're referring to as the rendering?
Yeah.
I believe the picture that you just showed gives us a better visual of what it's going. Here, you have your trees, but it doesn't have the tanks.
We're hoping that the trees will make it to where you cannot see the tank. That is definitely our goal, is to have the landscaping as a buffer to where the tanks will not be visible.
Okay. All right, any further questions?
The lighting around the covering of the pumps themselves. What was that lighting that we placed on the?
They did have a lighting design with low lumen. I think it was about 4,000 units. Yeah,
Can you address
lumens.
this?
About the lighting?
The lighting on the canopy that's coming down on the pumps themselves. That's low lighting.
It's on our lighting plan, which I'm not a lighting expert, but it is a dark sky lighting, and it is soft to make sure that it's not too bright for, any of the adjoining property owners. It complies with all the requirements that y'all have in your ordinances. And we provided a lighting plan to that effect, even though that we're actually not required to do that, but we did that so that you would have it for your evaluation. And I would just tie one last thing with Mr. Cullifer, and if y'all have additional questions with him, then he's glad to answer it. Mr. Cullifer, can you confirm in your professional opinion that the use as proposed will not materially endanger the public health or safety in the community if located where proposed and developed according to the submitted and approved plan? Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. So we've gone through all the findings of facts. I want to thank you for that.
Yes, and I will close with thanking you again for your time. And I believe we've satisfied the requirements of items A through G and submitted evidence to support it. And at this time, we will ask for your vote of approval of our application as submitted. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Pike. Now I'll have the board go through its deliberations. We've got the finding of facts. I'm sorry, I can't. No, I did ask for witnesses that were not being called by the applicant. I read the same script. I read the same script, I'm sorry. It was witnesses that are not being called by the applicant. I read the same script every time. And I apologize if you've missed it, but I don't miss the script. All right. This has already been started, and I want to go on the record by saying I say the same script every time, Ms. McCune. And I did repeat that. Actually, they are first, and then the people withstanding are second. But I understand that you want to be called as a witness. I'm going to make this one exception this time. So if you would like to go ahead and speak, if you're not being called by the applicant or the town as a witness, please come up and affirm and say your name.
And I would like to make a blanket objection to any opinions that may be offered that are subject matter for experts, such as opinions on tanks, specifications that Mr. Cullifer and his expert opinion opined on, or property values that our appraiser or somebody licensed to opine on those matters. Thank you.
Your objection is noted for the record. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
If I missed it, I apologize.
All right. Okay.
State your name. Do you swear or affirm that the evidence you shall give to the board in this action shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Thank you for hearing me. I want to make clear that I'm not here to speak against this gas station. I am old friends with the Davis family and the Simpson family, and I hold them in very high regard as good local business people. And I know that if they build this, they will do a good job. And I want to come meet some of your light rolls because his daddy told me 42 years ago that if I wanted to support his business, I should go in and buy something in the convenience store and not just gas. So, and I loved your dad. I do have a concern that hasn't been brought up. It has been brought to our attention, and I would like this to be looked into, that the FHA, that's HUD, FHA housing, FHA underwrites loans for housing, residential housing. Most of us know, this is written to appraisers, FHA follows the guidelines set forth in the HUD Handbook 4000.1, which includes the minimum property requirements that appraisers have to follow when appraising a property that is being insured by FHA housing. HUD requires that if an above-ground storage tank is within 300 feet of a property, that property will not qualify for an FHA loan. And this is specifically if the subject property line is located within 300 feet of an above-ground stationary storage tank with a capacity of 1,000 gallons or more of flammable or explosive material, then the property is ineligible for FHA insurance, and the appraiser must notify the mortgagee that there is this issue. We have looked, and there are within 300 feet of these above-ground tanks. That is my only issue. Build the gas station, just bury the tanks. There are many residential properties that would be affected, and of course, my husband and I are the ones that are most adjacent. but these properties include properties across 101, 3 properties going up towards the corner of Caraway Drive. It could perhaps affect the condominiums that are on the other side. So I just think that perhaps Mr. Mashburn can speak to this, or the attorney, but I would like to see this addressed. And thank you for allowing me to speak.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, I'd like to point out that there's no requirement in our zoning or ordinances that we have to meet the FHA requirements. We're going to meet all the requirements that are required for the town, required for our gas tank certification. We're putting them above ground because it is simply not financial. This project will not happen if we have to put them below ground. The math doesn't work. So we would have to look, and if this project doesn't happen, I think it'll probably be some less desirable tenant that goes in there than what we're looking at now, that we would not be required to have a special use permit for. You know, Mr. Simpson gets calls all the time from vape shops, Dollar Trees, you know, all kind of less desirable tenants. You know, Mr. Davis and his product, you know, something that everyone that I'm working with is proud of, and they're proud of what they're proposing. But again, you know, that's a deal breaker for my folks if they have to put it below ground.
Okay. Thank you for that rebuttal. All right, so we have heard from everyone, including our witness. We also have the opportunity for the board to deliberate. So the first thing would be is to address the finding of facts.
Well, Mr. McKeown has really dredged up something, and if we're looking for Beaufort to continue to grow, especially residential, and with the new law that was just passed by Congress concerning housing, we have to take that into consideration, regardless if your plan or our plans doesn't state that you have to take the FHA into consideration. We as a town or as a commission, I think we have to take it into consideration if we're looking for Beaufort to grow, especially to bring a much more, maybe more younger run, family-wise. And if they're looking into that area near the station, and that is a factor of 300, then I think we got a problem.
Thank you.
I don't know if the floor is closed, but Mr. Mashburn has some, I think he might be able to speak to some of your concerns from an appraiser standpoint.
The floor is still open.
Okay, thank you.
So I'm not exactly sure what the distance is from those above-ground storage tanks to the residences that are around it. But FHA is specific to a loan type. It doesn't dictate market value. So someone could go get an FHA loan, they could choose to get a VA loan, they could go with a traditional mortgage through a bank, that the bank's gonna hold it themselves and not sell it to the secondary market. But the FHA is just specific to a certain loan type. Not necessarily does that impact, or that does not impact market value or property values of adjacent properties.
Okay.
But are we necessarily talking about market value, property value? What we're talking about is FHA having a requirement in terms of footage from a residential and a storage tank.
So I guess what I'm trying to differentiate between is what is the value of a property and how do you get a loan? And the loan type does not dictate property values. So they could, the buyer could choose to get a VA loan and that restriction would not be there at all. That buyer could go straight to First Citizens and First Citizens hold the mortgage instead of selling it to the secondary market, and that restriction would not be there. What we're specifically talking about here is that one specific loan type. Even, I mean, you could look at USDA, and they don't have that restriction. So it's just that one specific loan type that you're talking about, and that does not drive market value or property values, which is, I guess, going back specifically to item E, or I think yes. Does that answer your question?
No.
Okay.
All right.
No, I just
Commissioner
want,
Matthews.
just to clarify, so it only applies to HUD-backed loans.
That specific HFA loan.
That requirement is specific to them and to no other lending institutions,
Or no other loan types.
no other loan types.
Correct. Yes. So not to go down rabbit holes, but when it comes to appraising, there's specific requirements on appraisers for each different loan type. So the VA may say, I just want you to look underneath the crawl space. FHA says to the appraiser, I want you to crawl underneath the crawl space and take pictures, right? So it's just that specific loan type, and different loans have different requirements to be given that loan.
Okay. And you're not an expert on FA loans or loan types necessarily, right?
So I've done very few FHA loans. Predominantly, the residential appraisals that I do are specific to the VA and to mortgages that are going to stay in-house.
Okay. So you've done some looking around the areas that are abutting, once again, trying to make sure there's no issues with the adjoining property value. So if I owned a piece of property that's within the radius that you looked at, what were my odds of getting an FHA loan, being close to that fuel tank is what we're asking?
So it's not, I think the more restrictive factor, well, I'm not sure, to be honest with you. FHA may say, okay, well, it's within 300 feet, but the VA would say, that's perfectly fine with us.
Okay.
You would keep referring to VA, but what we're specifically talking about is FHA. We're not specifically talking about VA. We're talking about FHA. That is the target area that she is referring to, not VA, FHA.
Okay.
Which you say you have not, in terms of experience of loans, you don't have. So you can't really speak to FHA and what their requirement would be in terms of building a home within 300 feet of a fuel tank.
So I guess the only reason I brought up VA was different loan types, right? So let's stick
I'm not concerned with various loans. Only concern with is FHA. That is that loan type that she is addressing, and we also maybe need to address as well.
So what is your specific question in regards to the FHA? I'm sorry, if you could repeat that.
Addressing her factor is saying that within 300 feet, if there's a lot and I wanted to build a home on it, I go to FHA in terms of trying to secure a loan, in all probability, I'm not gonna be able to get it because they're gonna put that 300 feet in front of me, saying that you're 300 feet within a fuel storage tank.
Right, so I guess what I'm saying is that when we're looking at item, does it impact?
You're looking at items in terms of for you being able to build your station. I'm looking at a person who wants to come in and build a residential home, a family home, and be within that 300 feet of FHA ruling.
And I think what Mr. Mashburn is saying is that, though, if what Ms. McEwen said is correct, that within 300 feet an FHA loan could not be obtained, then there are several other loan types that would be open to that person to build their home.
Still decreases.
But if that's the only loan type available to that individual, maybe they're not a veteran.
So I'm not sure how to answer that question. Because what we're looking at is the impact on property values.
Okay.
And so my findings indicated that there was no impact on property values. And I think going back to what I said at the very beginning, loans don't impact property values, or the type of loan doesn't impact property values.
Okay. All righty. I think we're going to actually move on a little bit from this. You've got some information in front of you. You've got 7 findings of facts that were presented with evidence by the applicant. And do you have any questions about the finding of facts? And where would you like to start the discussion? You've got a couple of considerations, too, that have been placed on by the planning board that we'll want to be able to consider as well.
Question
Okay.
is going to go to Ari. The last speaker, I know, was sworn in as an expert witness. Does, in his particular area and doing the analysis of the impact on property values, does that expand to his statements on obtaining a loan for properties in that radius of 300 feet? Does he have the expertise to, for us to accept that information that, in fact, yes, you can obtain a loan by using a different lending institution?
I think the testimony that I heard was, excuse me, the availability or non-availability of any particular type of loan does not impact the property value. I think that was the testimony. I'm not sure where the witness is now.
Yes, that's a good way to summarize.
Okay. And if that's the testimony, I do think that's within his expert opinion as a licensed appraiser.
Just a statement. If you could not obtain a loan for property, period, I'm having a difficult time seeing how that would not impact property values. That's me, but I'm having a hard time seeing that. Now, if it's not affecting the property values because, in fact, there are other lending institutions where you can obtain a loan, then it makes sense to me.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yes, sir. And that's what I understand the situation to be. We're talking
Right.
about one specific type
Right.
of federally insured loan.
Right.
And there are multiple other types of loans that a potential purchaser could obtain to purchase property within the 300-foot area, build a
Right.
home, whatever the case may be.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions that you want to clarify about the 7 findings of facts? Considering that there is none, just want to call for the question of the board. What is the pleasure of the board when it comes down to the finding of facts for case 26-12?
I'm certainly not in disagreement in terms of this, the station itself. And yes, there probably will be other institutions that a person can use to secure a loan if they want to build a home within that. I just concerned that I hope we're not going to be shutting out someone who may wants to use the FHA loan. I mean, it just could be that factor that just a better pricing, purchasing price or building price of a home versus, say, a VA. A VA loan is, I've been there as a veteran using a VA loan. So, but maybe not everybody is a veteran. And with this younger market, most of them are not. And they're looking at wanting to build within Beaufort. And I don't want them to be able not to be able to do that. But I'm not against the station itself.
Thank you for your comment, Commissioner Cooper. Commissioner Gillikin?
I'm very sympathetic to the piece about FHA. I had a FHA loan myself about 30 years ago for my first house, so I get it. However, within the bounds of this quasi-judicial proceeding, I don't think we can use that reasoning legally. Even though I'm very sympathetic to it, I don't think we can use it to justify a decrease in property values.
That's correct. The only expert testimony before the board is that the unavailability of the FHA loan program does not impact the property values within the area. That is the factor under our LDO. It's not a factor of whether certain loans are available or not. And I'll read from the ordinance itself. The proposed special use will not substantially injure the value of adjoining or abutting properties. And that's the only expert testimony before the board tonight, is that this project will not do that.
Thank you.
I would agree too. While I'm sympathetic, I just don't think we can use that as a means of excluding item E. We have an expert witness who's giving us testimony regarding that. And like I said, while it's unfortunate that then one particular loan would interfere with people being able to obtain a loan and purchase a property, it's just not something that we can use for E.
Excuse me. I'm not trying to put this in as an objectable thing to this station. I'm just making a statement in terms of the impact that it would make. I'm not saying that the gentleman who expert in terms of property value and et cetera, and I'm not trying to get us to use that as a mitigating factor of this. I'm just stating that it just said that if that was to be the case, and I had a nice piece of property over here, 300 feet within that station, that I probably would not be able to, if I wanted to use the FHA loan. I'm not trying to discourage or say that his statement in terms of property value, I'm not trying to dispute that. None whatsoever.
All right, so let's get back to the finding of facts now that we've got that statement on record. And where does the board want to land on this? I think we've got enough evidence for us to start making a decision either way.
There were a number of conditions that they have agreed to, but I didn't see all of those spelled out. I saw the two conditions from the planning board, and I'm trying to, in my mind, wrap around the other conditions that they have agreed to do. For instance, the screening, that's one, obviously. I didn't see in the in what the planning board recommended, the berm, for instance. Is that incorporated in any approval we give, or do we need to specify all of those conditions?
Is the berm in the application, is it in the plan?
It is on the site plan, it's listed.
Then it's necessarily included. You don't need to make that a separate condition.
So you don't have to include that?
That's correct.
Okay.
All right, so it would be the two conditions from the planning board, if we want to accept those to include. And what about the berms in there? What about the screening?
Same question, is the screening in the application. So that's covered.
That's covered as well.
So we're talking about the 2 or more shade trees and the pedestrian
Sidewalk.
connection, I guess. And is that in the application now? No?
No.
So those are the two conditions recommended by the planning board that we can tie to specific factors in the LDO if the board chooses to do so. And the planning board did a pretty good job setting those conditions out in the motion outlined in the agenda packet.
Right.
Yes,
Sharon.
I'm sorry.
You want to
Okay,
do this
so I-
separately with motion to approve with conditions?
Yes, I was
and
just
then-
trying to find the conditions.
Well,
I
John, can I
apologize.
talk about the conditions a little bit more, or you
Sure.
can make a motion?
No, go ahead, go ahead.
So I want to make sure that would one of the conditions be, I'm trying to hybridize the voluntary lawn spaces with the implementation of the provided landscaping plan. So just want to make sure that those two things are complementary. So would we say inclusion of the voluntary lawn spaces listed in the concept plan, and also including implementation of the provided landscape plan with additional modification that the planting island to the east of the fuel pumps, blah, 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 the planning board statement? Will we kind of push those two together?
Yeah, I think that would be fine.
And I think most of the landscaping is included in the applicant's application, so we don't have to include that as a condition. We would only have to include the 2 or more shade
Shade trees.
trees that I think Kyle described. I'm not going to hit the direction, but it's to the north and east of the fuel pumps, I believe that's correct. And that's
And-
what the planning board was talking
and I believe
about
the
in one of
pedestrian
those
pathway.
Is
landscaping.
that considered the voluntary?
And the
Yeah, but
pedestrian pathway as well.
Pedestrian pathway.
Yeah, and what about the landscaping that was labeled as voluntary but in the plan?
Well, now it's represented as being part of the plan, so it's no longer voluntary.
Okay,
Okay.
all right, even though it's labeled voluntary.
Correct. I
Okay.
think that was illustrative in my mind more than we're going to throw it out there and then not do it.
Okay.
Once it's in the plan, and if we approve it, they're bound to do it.
Okay. Now, the shade trees and the sidewalk, do we need to absolutely tie it to one of the conditions or just?
I think if you adopt the language that the planning board used, I think that'll cover it because that
Okay.
action did tie it to conditions in the LDO for the special use permit.
All right.
If you want to find facts, you can incorporate the facts set forth for each item in the agenda packet, and you can make it that simple. And then if you want to incorporate the 2 conditions verbatim that the planning board sent to us, that would work too. You don't have to restate word for word. You can just incorporate what's already in the agenda packet, if that makes it easier when it comes time for motions.
Okay, and so where was the lighting plan in this? Was that in evidence already, or do we need to state that separately?
Yes, ma'am,
It's in the
I know
evidence.
that's part of the application.
Okay, and what about beautification of the west side of the building, which was presented as a concept, but was one of the items of concern for the planning board?
I think that's now in the application, isn't it? Yes.
Says it's right here,
We
okay.
got nods out there.
So that won't need to be included, the screening.
I don't think you need it as a condition when it's being represented as part of the application. It's necessarily included when you approve it.
So it's being represented as a concept, but there were a few different concepts that all looked really great that were beautification. So it's like the wood, the lap strake, and then the map of Beaufort on there. I mean, all the concepts looked fine to me, but if any concept is provided that represents beautification, then a beautification option needs to be implemented. Is that what you're saying?
And certainly to clarify the specific option among several, that would be a good condition, or perhaps Mr. Pike could tell us exactly what the applicant intends among the several different proposals.
Yes, what we've presented to you is what we intend to do, and we'll obviously work with we'll still have to apply for a permit for all this, and we'll be showing that to town staff and working with them, and we'll collaborate with the town staff to make sure it's at least at a minimal substantially similar, if not exactly what we gave to you tonight.
And Commissioner Gillikin, do you have the specific photograph that you're looking at?
So I am looking at the one with the wood. It kind of looks like lap straight siding. Yep. And there was the other one with the map that we saw on the screen. However, I don't want to specifically dictate what the beautification has to be because I have a lot of trust that will be professionally done and we will like it. But I just want to make sure that that is included.
I do think the concern from the planning board was more screening of all of the hardware and so forth, and
Electrical
electrical
stuff,
equipment. So I don't think the map of Beaufort probably would do that as well. And I'd be more in favor of the concept plan that was submitted like this at this stage.
So could we say a beautification that screens as much of the conduit and fixtures as possible?
Yes, we could do it that way, or you could specifically reference the conceptual photograph that we've been presented, to say this is what we want, this is what we want it to look like.
I feel like we're getting into the weeds a little.
Does anybody have any pleasure as to where to go with that one? I mean,
Does the applicant have a pleasure?
does the applicant have a pleasure?
They're flexible. I mean, what we presented, like, again, is what we intend to do. And, you know, we will collaborate with town staff to, you know, if there's something better we can do, we're flexible with it, you know. But at a minimum, what we presented to you is what we intend to do. We want to cover up all that conduit and stuff hanging off the side of the building there.
So could we say beautification project on the west side of the building that adequately screens the conduit and fixtures?
Yes, and I would add, as approved by town staff as part of the permitting process.
Okay.
You may recall, we recently had a SUP application we used a similar technique on, and basically conceptually, this is what we want, and will depend on town staff to implement it.
Okay.
Ready? Okay, we're getting closer to a motion, I believe. So, when it comes down to the finding of facts, what is the pleasure of the board?
I make a motion that the applicant has met the finding of facts A through G. Want to vote on this separately? And then add the conditions? From Ms. Paul?
We need to specify those conditions.
I think it would be good to vote on the findings of fact first, and if I understood the motion correctly, it was the applicant meets the findings of fact required under the ordinance, and those findings of fact are as set forth in the agenda packet. There's some detailed listing of the various factors and how the application meets it.
All right. And then the special conditions can come with the,
We'll do that with
Separate.
approving the actual permit.
okay.
But just a question for me, then, the conditions, though, are necessary to make the findings of fact achieved, correct?
Well, I will draw the distinction between voluntary and involuntary
Okay.
conditions, and I'm hearing that these conditions are voluntary, the applicant's agreeing to them. So they can be tied to the factors, but they don't necessarily have to be as strictly tied to the factors as if they were involuntary and if the applicant was objecting to them. If that makes sense.
Almost. The two that were identified by the planning board,
Yes, sir.
those were specifically tied to the findings of fact. So we don't have to incorporate those into voting on the findings of fact being achieved, even though we don't have those currently?
That'll be covered in the condition if you adopt the planning board action as they adopted it.
Right.
It'll cover those factors because the factor language is in the body of the condition, if you will. And when you see the final ordinance, or the final order, we add language in the order that conditions the finding of fact on agreement to the condition. So I think that's where you're getting at. So the actual order will tie both pieces together so that there's that nexus or connection, if you will.
Okay, thank you.
All right, any other clarification? All right, so we have a motion on the floor. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, all opposed have the same right. Now we have to move on to the approval of the special use permit, and this is where our conditions come in?
Yes, ma'am. Assuming we're going to
That's if we
approve
do.
the special use permit, the motion might say, I move that the special use permit be granted subject to the following two conditions, and then you can incorporate the planning board verbiage that they used.
Okay. All right, so this is where we get to either approve or deny the permit. And if you do approve it, our attorney is giving you directions on how to make that motion.
Okay, I make a motion that we approve case number 26-12, special use permit for 1507 Live Oak Street Gas Station, granted, subject to the following condition: adoption of the two planning board conditions that are provided in the case information in the packet, which is on page 3. And also the additional condition that beautification on the west side of the building should adequately screen the conduit and fixtures, and that should be approved by town staff as part of the permitting process. Am I missing any condition?
And the others are already incorporated, so we don't have to be concerned about those.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay. Great job. We've got a motion on the floor. Any further questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you so much. Now I'd like to go ahead and get a motion to close the evidentiary hearing.
So moved.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Now, we've been at it for a minute. I do have public it's public comment next. Oh, congratulations on your gas station, by the way. Thank you. Okay. Do we have anybody signed up for public comment? Oh,
There's no.
nobody? All right. What's the temperature of the board? Do you need to go to the bathroom?
We have someone signed up.
We'll have a public comment.
Contested, so it really doesn't.
Jen?
No, it would.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Eva. She wants,
Yeah, she wants to sign up?
yes. Oh, you've got to sign your name. Did you sign up?
I will.
Okay. And state your name and your address,
Yes, Patricia Bentley, 168 Highway 101. So we are in the red brick building right behind the Redneck Barbecue. So our concern, when I heard your call for people to come forward, what I took away was coming with evidence and facts. I don't have those. I have my opinion, and I have some other stuff I've looked into. So I didn't feel okay to come forward then. Where we will be, we'll be directly impacted by the tanks. I love the gas station. I want to walk there. I don't have a problem with that. The issue is that we talked about the lighting for the pumps. We did about the downward lighting, dark sky, but there's also going to be lighting on the pumps. So I have a question about, the tanks rather, right? The other issue is that I understood that the tanks to be 11 feet high. I think that was a number, 11. Let's just say 11, 12 feet, whatever, off the ground. But the netting and the coverage was only to be 8. So I just have some questions that I know that's already been passed, but maybe that could come up in later planning, because of where I sit on my front porch, I see the traffic that is just car after car after car, and that's before the gas station's there. So my concern is, I love where I live, and I just want to keep loving it. That's all. So, thank you.
Thank you.
I'll sign in.
All right, do we need to have a break for the board, or are we ready to go?
Quick break. Very quick break.
And keep going.
You need a quick break?
It's up to Jackson.
Just a quick break.
That's fine.
Just a quick break. All right, can we recess for about 5 minutes?
5 minutes.
That's what that deposit's
with the show. You can't win for losing here. Is it just me? You did good. That's nice. It's always charming. Alrighty, so now we're going to go on to new business. I'm going to call the meeting back into order out of recess, by the way. We're going to move on to case number 26-17 subdivision, 222 Live Oak, 220, let's put it that way. Live Oak Street preliminary final plat. Mr. Gardner, you're up next.
Thank you, Mayor, and I'd now like to go through my 144 slide power, no, I'm just
About
teasing.
time. I
I'm
mean,
just
I was
teasing.
waiting for something robust.
So, no, ma'am, I actually promised to make this short and sweet. This is a request for a two-lot subdivision at 2220 Live Oak Street. It is a preliminary and final plat combined. We have our vicinity map up on the screen showing you where this property is located. It is right near the intersection of Live Oak and the new US 70 bypass. It does have, the property does have a dog leg in it. In case you're wondering, it does have frontage on two different streets. You can see by the picture up on the screen. The zoning is R20. Included in your packet, of course, is the site plan. The total property is 2.52 acres, and it's to be divided into one lot, which is 1.67, and then the remaining lot would be 0.85 acres. And the other street frontage is on Shell Landing Road, so you would have one on what I would consider Live Oak frontage and then one on Shell Landing. Right now, no development is proposed. This property is in our ETJ and would be subject to county septic and well. And the reason why it is before you this evening is because we do not have a minor subdivision in our current subdivision ordinance yet. Otherwise, this would be the case because there are no other impacts in this particular case because it's in the ETJ.
Oh, okay.
So, Planning Board reviewed this, and it was a unanimous recommendation. That was probably the fastest item they had on their agenda that night. It took less than about 2 minutes. There are no particular concerns or anything with this particular property. So, so we are asking to approve both the preliminary and final plat combined, and we will be glad to entertain questions, Mayor.
Okay, thank you, Kyle, for that. Any questions for Kyle about case number 26-17?
So I noticed on the planning board option, the last one was they didn't feel they had enough information, or could you pull that one back up?
There you go.
They tabled the recommendation pending additional information.
No, sir, that is your option.
Oh, that's our option.
That is your option. Those are the options that you are afforded. So our recommendation is that you approve the preliminary final plat and that it meets all the standards of our subdivision ordinance.
Yes.
I think Dexter has got a question.
Well, you're looking at me, so are you?
No, I have no questions.
Okay,
None.
all right, so, yes.
It's more for my education than anything else. When someone's coming in to divide a piece of property like this, and they're going to rely on well and septic tank systems, is there any, do they get a review by the health department first that the property will have the size necessary for those services?
That's a good question. So what we as a staff, especially if you're in the ETJ and you're going to be served by county, by well and septic, we require the developer or the property owner to get the approvals prior to. That way we're certain, and our ordinance is very clear, that we cannot subdivide property until we can make sure it's buildable or usable.
Thank
So
you.
we have, the applicant has those permits in hand.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
I can't look at you now. You can't. Any further questions? All righty. Thank you, Kyle.
Thank you, ma'am.
All right, so now it's time for the board to discuss this case. You've got a couple of options. You've heard the town's recommendation to approve both the preliminary and final plat. Legal question for you, Counselor. Do we have, we can combine that together?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I'll make a
I-
motion. Well, go for it. You go for it.
This is an easy, I'll move for approval of the preliminary and final plat on case number 2618.
Okay, thank you so much. We've got a motion on the floor.
Is
26.
26.
I'm sorry.
2617.
I'm looking at the wrong one, 2617, thank you.
All right, thank you for that correction. Any further questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Now we're going to move on to the extension of the wood railing system on our commercial dock area.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Based on the time frame that we've had here this evening, if the board sees fit, we can easily move this item to a future workshop if you have any type of questions. The conversation here was the extension of the well-received current wooden railing system that's along the commercial dock area, and the staff was seeking guidance if you wanted us to extend it from the current terminus all the way to the Crystal Coast Lady, which would bring more consistency and safety along that retaining wall. So
Well,
we can
any-
either discuss it or delay it, whichever you see fit, ma'am.
You up for discussing it now instead of pushing it to another work session, or?
Personally, I'm fine.
I'm fine with
moving
it, too.
Forward with it.
Okay.
I think it is a safety issue. I would say, appreciate the fact that staff would be involved with putting this together and keeping the costs down as low as we possibly can. Because anything else at the docks that we're talking about doing, we've got some substantial expenditures, and I certainly would want those to be prioritized and not voted on individually, but to be looked at holistically. Having made that statement, I'm perfectly fine with moving forward.
So the discussion is, you want in terms of approval for us to go ahead on and get it approved for extending the railing?
Yeah.
Is that what you're asking?
Well, yes, sir. We have our CAMA permit in possession to move forward, or in the process of getting that, and with that in hand, then we wouldn't want to move forward without the board's concurrence.
And
Thank you, Kyle.
when would that start, Matt?
It's not going to be very fast. We have a majority, a major amount of work ahead of us, but we just wanted to get in front of you and ask the question.
Okay, I know that a few of the commercial folks down there in the East Basin have given their kind of input or opinions kind of along the way, but is there a need for more engagement so no one will be upset about their change in access? Or maybe a better question is, will it change access to any of the commercial folks?
No, ma'am, zero in this segment.
So this is the area where people have fallen into the marsh and their dogs consistently jump into the marsh
That'd be
over
correct.
the bulkhead. Okay.
All righty. Okay, so what is the pleasure of the board? Staff is looking for you to authorize them to construct this railing system along the commercial vending area.
Make a motion that we approved it for staff for the extension of the wooden railing for the commercial dock area.
Thank you so much. We've got a motion on the floor. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you. And
You're
from
welcome.
a timeline perspective, we have immediate work that must occur in the Crystal Coast Lady Dock area, and there's other projects that are of higher safety concern. So we will, just for the public's edification and for the board, Public Works will tackle this as soon as staffing resources allow. Is that an accurate statement, Mark? Thank you.
Very good. Managers report.
I just wanted to let the board know that in addition to the weekly summaries coming out of my office, our monthly report has been sent to you electronically. We have printed copies here as well, and I'll keep my comments extremely brief and high level, but we're continuing with our USDA water work, and we're moving forward at a much faster clip with TA Loving in position, so that is a positive. But please do expect additional delays. We have some immediate road closures that we're sharing on social media. And so if you are in an impacted work zone, we would please highly encourage you to follow us or like us on any of our social channels, and wanted to report back the good work coming out of the media team collectively, in a 30-day period, we reached over 1 million people through our efforts in the last month, which is a staggering fact. So if you haven't seen any of our videos or any of the movements that we're trying to make, we'd please encourage you to check the town's Facebook page. You can always read the news section at our primary website as well. We're working through the Camp and Road improvements, working on the contract with the vendor to see if that can be executed as instructed at our last board meeting. And today, there was a delay in the Duke Energy transmission infrastructure improvements. So right at 101, actually very near where the Redneck Barbecue was or is currently positioned, there will be a potential for a road closure tomorrow and as well into Wednesday. That's weather permitting, but those transmission lines are being replaced, but they are difficult to do in the rain, so there may be some delays there. Thank you for everyone, from the town staff to the BBA, and I know I'm just going to be very cursory because I'm sure others are going to thank them for that, but our Independence Day celebration, not only was the weather perfect, but the downtown was packed. The fireworks went off at Gallant's Channel without incident. We want to thank all of our staff members, team members, volunteers, sponsors, and the BBA for making that happen. So far, we have been 100% weather okay for Rock the Docks. We are now moving into the final few Rock the Dock concert series events, and we hope that we can get a 100% clear sailing report at the end of 2026. But want to point out that we're going to continue on Thursday nights from 5 to 8 p.m., and with our last shows currently slated for August the 6th. See if there's anything else. Oh, there has been a lot of conversation about where we are with our grant program and what we're doing, so I wanted to take a moment and to thank Kyle Garner for his assistance. Bulkhead Channel was recently dredged with the assistance of the Army Corps of Engineers, and currently to this point, we believe that this would be 100% federally funded. So we do have our monies in reserve, which would normally be as an allocation of roughly up to 25%. But thank you, Kyle, publicly for your assistance in not only getting that teed up, but having it executed early. Kyle is also assisting us with the execution of our grant for the Ann Street Park project, which our goal is to have that completed by January of 2027, if our weather timeline and contractors all go according to plan. And then the biggest piece is, no pun intended on big, but the boating infrastructure grant, the big grant. We do have our team positioned to be in a preliminary kickoff meeting 3 to 5 p.m. on the 15th to learn more about what that project will involve, what the applicable projects could be for the next grant cycle, and we will work in partnership with F3 Marina and the BWIF team to determine what our project should be with an application deadline of August 28th. There's many other things we could report on, but for the sake of time, I'll field any questions that the board members may have for either myself or staff.
Any questions? Any comments? Okay, seeing that there is none. Mayor and Commissioner comments. We'll start with Commissioner LaPiccolo.
I'll keep it brief. Just want to say thank you, one, to our planning board for spending the time and taking such effort into really kind of looking at these special use permits and getting us to where we are. It really takes the efforts of our community members to get to where we are here, and I think it's such a win for the town. This really helps to clean up a part of Beaufort that's been basically undeveloped and sitting open, helps to beautify it. We also have, it's great as the owners here have even volunteered to help to beautify it with landscaping, and just the significant investment into this area, I think is just really wonderful for our community. So thank you to Jim Davis and thank you to Tommy Simpson for making this happen. And it shows you what community involvement, support, and kind of the round table can do. So thank you.
Commissioner Cooper.
Yes. Just to piggyback off for what Town Manager Matt stated about the BBA and the 4th of July parade, I just think it would be nice for coming out from a commissioner as well, that they did an excellent job. It seems if it's growing, at least from my perspective, as we were on that stage, and maybe we had been missing it being further down on the line, but it was excellent. It was well attended, and the number of people that was in it was fantastic. I think the crowd, the people, really enjoyed the parade. Also want to thank the staff, all of those that was present on the 4th of July, and those who actually also did other groundwork leading up to the parade. I just want to give you guys a kudo on that. And thank you, Matt, for your constant update for the commissioners on whatever information you need to get, as well as the board and the community. Just great job on your part. And I'm not sure, but this information package that was delivered to us today, I know maybe sometime it can't be, but I would like to be able to get this prior to coming to a meeting so that we can study it and really digest the information. And if there's any preceding questions that we have, I know it's not in reflection on you guys because they popped up, but if possible, if we can know ahead of time from them to present such information. That's all I have.
Duly noted. Commissioner Gilligan.
I want to echo the comments thanking Jim Davis and others that have been working so hard to get us a gas station for like 5 to 7 years. He has spent, I imagine, I kind of did some back of the napkin math, tens of thousands of dollars in concept plans and studying and negotiations with different folks around town about different properties. Of course, the Lennoxville one fell through, but he's done a lot, has been committed to helping the community. This isn't the most convenient station for him, and I think I really appreciate that he hung in there, and can't wait to see that come to fruition. Really thankful for the July 4th parade, and I would like to mention that a significant piece of Beaufort history, the 250 kind of brought it forward for me, but in case some of y'all don't know, it's pretty much understood that the very last skirmish of the Revolutionary War was actually fought in Beaufort. Maybe someone could argue that one more was, but it pretty much we're recognized nationally for that. And that was in 1782 because the Revolutionary War did not stop in 1776. And the British came through the inlet and basically lied to some whalers that were on Shackleford. And it was kind of like a Trojan horse situation where they said, we need a pilot to navigate into town to buy some things. And the whalers helped them get a pilot, and they brought them into town, and they plundered the town. And our local militia colonel, John Easton, had a plantation out where Gibbs Creek community is today. And so some townspeople ran to his plantation and got him to gather all the local militia together. Even though we weren't totally successful in fending them off, we did negotiate for hostages. Didrik Gibble, who was one of our significant citizens, was being held on one of the ships. And so Easton did a lot of negotiation. They were actually up by Highway 101 and 70, kind of where near the gas station is going to be. And they called in other militia to help. So I think we should think about some of those early colonists who really fought for Beaufort and protected us, and maybe we wouldn't look like or feel like we do today if it weren't for them. So I just like to honor his name and all those others who defended Beaufort in colonial times. And I wish we had access to his grave. We don't know where it is. He was such a significant person in our town. I know where one of his infant children's graves is, and it's in the Gibbs Creek community. I bet you anything that his and his wife's grave are also on that plantation. Makes me want to do some ground penetrating radar studies, Kyle. But just wanted to acknowledge a significant person and people from our past and relate that to the 250 celebration. So thanks for listening to me.
Very little-known history fact, right? Commissioner Matthews?
In the General Assembly, members have an opportunity to request a point of personal privilege. And I'm going to use my time for a point of personal privilege this evening, in that my youngest daughter had a baby last night. I'm a grandfather. Hannah Baker Charles Jackson, 8 pounds, 3 ounces. The mother and the baby are doing great. So I wanted to mention that tonight. Congratulations. Thank you.
Congrats.
Congratulations. Is it Grandpa Pete? What is it? Pop? What are you going to be called?
Pop.
Pop?
Pop, yep, exactly.
Oh, that's
This is the 4th, so there's plenty.
Oh, okay. Almost at the level of a team.
Matt, can I jump in before you make your comment on something that I'm always forgetting something?
Go right ahead.
Well, you had just recently had a new grandchild as well.
Yes, I did.
Yes, indeed.
Congratulations.
But we don't often get a chance to say thank you to our attorney over there. He did an excellent job in guiding us through to the night's work, as well as last Thursday, a couple of us attended the event, staff and commissioners, that his law firm do every year. But I really like to thank you for the invitation, and great soft shell crabs as well.
Thank you, Commissioners. Our pleasure.
You don't want to thank him for the peanuts, too?
I do that at Christmas.
Christmas time.
Make sure I get them.
All right, well, I just want to thank everybody for sticking it out with us, especially our staff that's been here. If you could ever imagine someone juggling like 10 balls, then standing on top of an elephant and then juggling the elephant at the same time, this is probably what our staff does on a day-to-day basis. A lot of times we don't actually see what they go through, but the outcome has always been for the benefit of Beaufort. So I want to thank each and every one of you. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, everybody who's here. I know you've had a long day, just like we have, and we couldn't run this show without you. Thank you for helping me. We call this meeting Monday Madness a lot of times when it comes down to procedures, and Ari is always a phone call away in order to help me guide everybody through this process, and I want to thank you for being there for me. And I hope you're not billing us for my many phone calls. I doubt that's the case. But from a point of personal privilege, congratulations on the new baby. And I also am a new grandmother, 6 weeks old. It's Callum Christopher McMichael is his name, and I call him Big Poppy. And so it's really cool. I'm able to get on the road, go to Virginia as often as possible. So if I'm not answering your emails and not until the weekend, it's because I'm on the road taking care of Big Poppy. And he doesn't give me much time to put him down, which I don't actually put him down. I snuggle on him all the time to answer your email. But I do want to thank each and every one of you. As far as a point of clarification in the future, I just want to ask if we could somehow put on the screen public comment sign up. Because I know it is always known that you can make a public comment. I don't want anybody to feel like they've missed an opportunity. I don't want to be mean-spirited by saying, oh, no, you can't do it. I want to make sure that it's very clear that public comment is available for you. Now, there's a big difference between public comment and public hearing, and we'll make the distinction between the two so nobody in the future is confused about those. But if anybody felt like today's process might have alienated them from actually participating, we'll make sure to make every effort to make sure that's clear. But if we can just put something up there at the very beginning of the meeting, public comment, please come sign up, those types of things, that will probably miss that. And then we'll, of course, address public hearing versus from public comment. With that being said, I think it stopped raining long enough for us to all get out of here. Unless anybody else has anything to say, great. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Godspeed.